says, and in fact, he does not just say that I'm going to boast. He's saying, I am boasting and nobody can stop me from boasting. That question. Is boasting allowed in Christianity? How would you answer that? Yes. But why is it written in the Bible? Are you making your son doubt the Bible? Hey, this Bible study. Let me talk to the other people. Is Paul teaching people to be boastful? If your class 8 son asked you, Daddy, is boasting allowed in the Bible? You will say, no. Then why does the Bible say Paul was boasting? And he says nobody will stop him from boasting. Yes, Elder. Semantics. Mm-hmm. Which verse were you reading? Romans what? Or Corinthians? First Corinthians. Let's go there, Elder. I'm with you, Elder. I'm with you. First Corinthians 11, verse 10. Verse 10. 11, verse 10. Verse 7 begins by saying, a man should not wear anything on his head when worshiping. Is that it? Huh? Is that the verse? You are in 2 Corinthians. 11 verse 10, 2 Corinthians. Verse 10. Again, verse 7 says, was I wrong when I humbled myself and honored you by preaching God's good news to you without expecting anything in return? I robbed other churches by accepting their contribution so I could serve you at no cost. And when I was with you and didn't have enough to live on, I did not become a financial burden to anyone. Is that the verse? For the brothers who came from Macedonia brought me all that I needed. I've never been a burden to you, and never will I be. It's in me. No one in all of Greece will ever stop me from boasting about this. Why? Because I don't love you. I don't love you. Why? Because I don't love you. God knows that I do. So is Paul justifying being proud? Yeah. The elder said this about positive and negative pride. This is where we need to
Paul is just confirming the confidence he has in the truth he knows against the false prophets of his time.
Yes.
He was trying to tell them what I know, I'm firm about. I can confirm that it is the truth from Christ. So it looks like boasting.
All right.
To these people. Because
there's another hand behind there. Yes. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh.
I'm coming again. Now, in the book of Second Corinthians,
Yes.
chapter 11, verse 9 and 10, both the verses are related.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the false Corinthians, they were receiving donation of any kind. And then when they were receiving donation of any kind, they were now looking at Paul amongst them, and Paul was not in a position to receive or to give them any donation. And this is the aspect that Paul is now trying to bring and telling them that no matter the condition, I accept the situation the way I am, and I'm not even proud of even receiving any donation. But by the stature of Paul, he was in a position to receive, but he denied not to receive because his aim was to reach the gospel. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. That's a good argument. I want you to consider a few words that are so plain there. Paul says, he is using a very rough word that I even robbed some people what I gave you. Did you hear that one? I got from some people what I brought to you. And that I did. And that does not mean that I don't love you. God knows that I love you. And nobody can remove me from that. That is true. Yes? I saw some hands somewhere. Uh-huh. 12 verse 1. Thus boasting will do no good, but I must go on. I will reluctantly tell about visions and revelations from the Lord. I was caught up to the third heaven. Okay. He brings another thing again. I want to speak about his experience in the third heaven and the second and whatever heavens. What I want to say here is that, and this one I just tell members outrightly, don't. That do not be used to the culture of reading verses. When reading the Bible, do not be used to the culture of reading Bible verses and stopping at that. You will get terrible and very misleading impressions. And at some point, you may not be able to answer very simple questions asked by somebody. And this goes too far, too deep into the way we study prophecy. And again, it robs us the inner meaning of the inspiration that we should get. Because if you read a line in the Bible, there's no Bible verse that is not in context. Every Bible verse is in a context. There's no single verse in the Bible which is independent. And if you read it, considering that this verse stands by itself, you are likely to miss the impression. Let me begin by mentioning like this, that all Paul's letters, all of them were addressing heresies. Heresies. So anytime your eye lands onto Paul's writings, even as he talks about righteousness by faith, he is trying to counter the teaching that salvation is by law. And that's what he's fighting to remove his members. And so anytime your eye lands on the writings of Paul, maybe for very few instances, but in general view, Pauline letters, all of them are responses. They have developed wrong teachings, and this has come to Paul's attention, then Paul responds. But in the book of Romans, and a few instances in several verses, Paul develops an independent doctrine, which again counters a way of teaching that went on there. He developed the doctrine of salvation by faith and righteousness by faith. The doctrine of sanctification, which has heavily been capitalized by our members like Sequeira and others. And of course, Paul does not get that verse from nowhere. He is a stooge scholar of the Old Testament, and he gets it actually from the book of Habakkuk that we read. Of course, I know today that because people rush in reading the Bible, they just go into the book of Romans and where the Bible says, and those who are righteous shall be saved. Those who are what? The just shall be saved by faith. And then they stop at that. But they forget to appreciate where that verse is pulled from the book of Habakkuk chapter 2 verse 4. And Paul has behind him the experience of what was going to get the house of Judah because of the evil they had done. He has that one behind him. Then he says, with the same example, as the promise was made to Habakkuk that if you live by faith, what you hear that is going to happen, what I've told you is going to happen, will not happen to you. It will not happen to you.